Welcome to the Authentically Successful Show. I'm Carol Schultz, founder and CEO of Vertical Elevation, a talent equity and leadership coaching and advisory firm. Listen at the end of the show for information about becoming my next guest on one of the most important podcasts for building thriving companies. Here we go. My special guest today is Dax Craig, co-founder and president of Pi Insurance, headquartered here in Denver, Colorado. Dax, thanks for being with us and welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
It's my pleasure. Tell us a little bit about what Pi Insurance does at a high level.
Yes, we are serving small businesses with their insurance needs. Small businesses have been underserved and overcharged for a long time. And we're solving that problem using technology, data, and advanced analytics.
That's really fantastic. And you are venture capital funded.
Yes.
And you have raised, since you founded the company in May of 2017, a little over $300 million over 4 rounds. What's the excitement all about?
Well, disrupting a 600-year-old industry is exciting.
Yes.
And when you do that successfully, quickly, it's even more exciting for investors. And so we have grown really rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're offering small businesses, they seem to like. They like, have helped us grow really fast, and venture capitalists love that side.
Yeah, it's really great. What's the biggest problem you solve? You've talked a little bit about business insurance, but what's the exact problem? Just getting people business insurance at a better price, managing the risk properly. What does that look like? Well,
so for this, we start backwards from our customer.
Okay.
Unlike most insurance companies who are very much centric about themselves. So we work backwards from the customer. What is it they need? They need insurance to satisfy regulatory requirements. They have to have workers' compensation in almost every state. But it's really hard for them to get. Most insurance agents don't really pay a lot of attention to small businesses. And that's not the agent's fault. It's because it's really hard for the agents to do business with the insurance carrier. And the insurance carrier often doesn't want small businesses.
Why
is
that?
It's very hard for them to assess the risk of a small business. So they don't feel like they can price it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's too expensive for them to use human underwriters on these small risk. So small businesses get caught in this trap. They have to have it, yet it's hard to get. And when they do get it, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
And so for people in the construction businesses, they can spend 20, 30, 40% of their payroll on more comp cost. Yeah. So it really matters to them. If you're an accounting firm, it doesn't really matter to you as much. But people in the trades, it really matters.
You mentioned agents specifically. Is it also sold through brokers?
Yeah, so we work through agents, brokers, and we have a direct offering as well. Okay. We're multi-channel.
So how are you able to solve this problem of everything you just talked about? Being able to get the proper risk insured for the right price, so that people aren't, as you talk about small construction companies, 20 to 40% of their payroll. I mean, how can anybody possibly make money when that's what they're spending? I mean, it's not possible. You cannot. How could you be profitable?
It is possible because 90% of small businesses never have a claim, ever.
You think that's a cash.
The problem is insurance companies have a hard time figuring out which ones.
Yeah.
And so we use really advanced analytics. And we're able to suss out how likely a small business is to have claims, and we can price them accordingly. So a lot of our small businesses, 70, 80% can get a huge discount off of what they're paying in the market.
Wow.
Because we don't group them with all the high-risk people.
Yeah. And do you have a minimum number of employees a small business would be required to have to insure them? Or can you insure a sole proprietor?
Well, you have to have at least one employee by law. So we only insure people with employees. So at least one, and we have lots of businesses with one employee.
Mm-hmm. And does that one employee, do you have to have proof of that person is working on a W-2 versus a 1099?
Yeah, we asked them if they use subcontractors or 1099 contractors versus employees. Businesses that we insure are allowed to have some contractors. It's just the majority need to be actual employees.
Yeah, actual employees. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So if they have one contract employee, they're not really eligible for PI.
So PI Insurance is your third startup. You got out of graduate school and founded your first company, Xertex Technologies. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
You did.
You were co-founder and CEO there about 7.5 years. And then you went on to found Valen Analytics, which I'm very familiar with since I live here in Colorado. And you were also the co-founder and CEO, and you did that for about 16 years before founding PI with your current co-founder, John Swigert. And I'm curious, tell us about your journey. I mean, got right out of graduate school and founded a successful company. Like, tell us about how you got from there to, point A to point B.
I come from a long line of entrepreneurs and small business owners. My great-grandfather, my grandfather, my dad were all small business owners and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, awesome.
I actually didn't know you were supposed to do anything different, honestly.
Oh, that's so great.
And so I went to grad school up in CU Boulder with the express intent of starting a business. So I was lucky enough to be involved in their entrepreneurship program and discovered a business opportunity at the school. Took it out of the school, built the business out of it, and was fortunate enough to sell that business. And that was a really good time. It was 2000.
Yeah.
So it was a good time to be in technology, but I didn't want to be in hardware anymore. I was in the hardware business. Want to be in software and looked for opportunities that were unique, interesting, weren't being done. Using analytics to solve business problems was in a really nascent stage. And the insurance industry was ripe for disruption, had lots and lots of data, but weren't using machine learning and artificial intelligence kind of technologies to make decisions. And so we're like, this is a greenfield opportunity, start this business. What happened is that we were way too early in that business. Out of just sheer perseverance, able to build that business successfully, but saw an opportunity to actually take that same technology and flip the tables where I would become an insurance company rather than a vendor. Because they just weren't adopting, they weren't using it. And there was such a chasm between what they could do for small businesses and what they were doing.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh my God, not only can we help the small businesses, but we can build a really incredible company here. And so we flipped the script, sold Valen, and started PI.
Remind me, and I should have looked at this before we started our conversation. I'm drawing a complete blank at who acquired Valen.
It's a company called Insurtech.
That's right, Insurtech, right.
And we're partners with Valen and Insurtech both. So good relationship.
There you go, win-win.
Yeah.
That's really terrific. So you prior to PI, you were the CEO of both of these companies, and now you're merely the president, and John is the CEO. Tell me a little bit about that.
So John and I got introduced in 2016 by a mutual investor, and an investor in Valen called White Mountains Insurance. They also owned Esurance.
Oh, well, there you go.
And John was chief marketing officer at Esurance. Yeah. I had pitched the idea of PI to them, and they loved it. They liked the idea. I didn't have the insurance operating experience that I needed. And I also wanted somebody that was really high-powered tech insurance. That doesn't exist very many places, right? There's just not that many people. John is almost a unicorn. And so they introduced us. We got together and had almost identical values, thoughts about insurance and how we could change it and disrupt it. And he has the insurance background.
Yeah, sure.
And he was CFO at Insurance and CMO.
Mm-hmm.
This was a very natural next step for him.
Yep.
And I didn't have that background, but I had the technology and the entrepreneurial chops.
Mm-hmm.
So we came together. We are very much partners.
Yep.
We make basically all the decisions together.
Good.
But John is CEO,
Okay.
and because of his broad background and expertise.
Right. And he lives on the East Coast.
He does. He lives in DC.
Yeah. So let's kind of look at pre-pandemic. How did that work for you all? Or has nothing changed?
Well, it's a little bit of a funny story because when we were going out to raise money in the beginning,
yeah,
investors were like, well, that'll never work. You guys weren't college roommates and you live in two different cities. And we said, yeah, but that's actually why you want to invest, because we live in two cities. We have to figure out from the beginning how to communicate
very great
with multiple offices. Mm-hmm. And so we built the company on Zoom. I mean, everything we do is we had to learn how to communicate with different offices. Mm-hmm. And so when COVID hit, we made the decision about 11 o'clock in the morning, and the entire company, at that point we had about 150 people, was remote in 2 hours.
Fabulous.
And we didn't skip a beat.
And it's worked out well for you.
It's been, it was a real blessing that we operated in two cities.
Are you planning on coming back to the office? Anyone?
We are.
I mean, percentage of time?
Yeah. So we're in July, we're going to open the offices for voluntary. Okay. Voluntary, you can come in as often as you'd like, or as little as you like, and just kind of a trial run to get people used to coming back in the office. And then in September through November, we're going to do a trial where people are 3 days in the office. They can be 5 if they want, but it's 3 days. And what we want to do is give people a sense for what the culture at Pi is in the office for a 3-month period.
That's so
and then
awesome.
We're going to ask people to declare their intentions, whether they want to be work from home or in the office, those kinds of things.
But the work from home has been successful for you.
It's been amazingly successful. Our team has done an amazing job, super productive. But there's some culture that you miss. There's creativity we miss. There's collaboration we miss. And so we need to figure out how much of that we need. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think the way you're going about it is really just super, super smart, right?
Test and learn. I mean, the whole company is test and learn. And so we're going to do the same thing with office reopening. Yeah,
that's really great. What would you say is the biggest impact you've had on your industry to date? Or the top 3? Is it?
I think most people want us to go away.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me.
Because that was
kind of what's behind that question.
Yeah, we're
How are the carriers feeling about you?
I think it's a realization that they can't keep doing what they've always done.
That's right.
They've got to put the customer first. They've got to use technology and analytics to make their business more efficient. I mean, 40 cents out of every dollar.
I know
that a small business sends to an insurance company gets spent in the operations of the business. That's just like, you send that money so that if you have a claim, you get reimbursed for the claim, not to pay for, fat cats in the Oval Office.
Well, I will, based on, we have a lot of, I think, synergy in our feelings about the Insurtech sector, as well as the insurance. And I'm going to share one quick thing here because I think it's relevant to what you're talking about. And, people have said to me for, I don't know, the last 3 years, what's Insurtech? I'll say, well, let's look at insurance, right? It's 300 years old or more. I think you mentioned 600.
600, yeah.
I thought 300 was a long time, but I don't know how I didn't realize that it was 600. Hundreds of years old. And there's sort of 3 common denominators. One, at least if you look at it from a P&C standpoint, it's required by law. You have to have it. Makes it recession proof.
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
Then, and of course, all the same things that I'm sure that some of the same things you're insuring businesses for. A lot of property and casualty. So you've got that. Secondly, I hate to say this, but I will. It's run by a bunch of old white guys, primarily. And third, they have more money than God, figuratively speaking.
Yeah,
and where is anyone's interest in innovating under those circumstances?
And it's an incredibly difficult regulatory environment.
Right.
And the capital requirements are gigantic. So the barriers to entry are huge.
That's right.
But if you can get the capital, you can play in the same ball game with the regulators, and you can use technology to beat them at their own game. And you can do it quickly. Insurtech really is. It is a blend of technology and insurance. You have to protect the balance sheet. You have to do that. That is critical, so that you can pay claims when people get injured.
That's right.
But the technology side, right, can create all of the efficiencies, all the benefits that inure to the benefit of the insured. So they don't have to pay as much for insurance. Yeah. Geico and Progressive have done this masterfully in the personal auto business.
Okay, right.
And it's an incredible virtuous cycle that we hope to repeat in small business insurance.
Yeah, that's really great. So you have competitors, yeah?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And what challenges would you say that you or your competitors are facing in the industry or in your market?
Well, our competitors are facing different challenges than we are. They have a very hard time hiring very talented people. We do not.
Why is that? I would speculate, given what I've done for 30 years, but I want to hear it from you. Why do you believe that?
There's a lot of reasons for it. We've got an amazing culture. We're disruptive. You sit in a room full of people, ask them to raise their hand who loves their insurance company, and not a single hand will go up.
Yeah, right.
Right? They all hate their insurance company.
I love my insurance company. I can't wait.
Right, for a bunch of reasons, right? So they all are motivated to disrupt an industry that doesn't treat them very well. And they love the fact that we can take technology and do it. And it's giant. It is a giant industry. Right. And so, the global market is trillions of dollars.
Yes.
And so, it's kind of one of the last businesses that's to be disrupted.
That's right.
By technology. And so that really excites people.
Yeah.
We're really getting, 10X kind of people.
That's really fantastic. But I'm sure that's agitating your competitors.
Totally. That's okay.
It makes it really hard if they want to try to recruit out of Pi Insurance. And why would, if you've got this fantastic thing going and this great culture, really, people probably see, they love the work they're doing. It's not just all about the money. Anybody that goes to a successful startup, they are, especially those who started with you early, they're looking for hopefully a good payout at some point.
Of course.
Whether it's, whether you get acquired or, do an IPO, which then leads me to that. Are you willing to talk about exit strategy, Dax? At all, or if you have one, or if you've thought about it, and if not, I get it.
Well, every venture-backed company has to think about exit.
Yeah.
We are in this for the long term.
Good.
We want to build a sustainable company that is here 30, 40, 50 years from now.
Does that mean an IPO in your future, do you think?
I can't say for sure, because that's market dependent, right? I don't know. But our goal, John and I are 100% aligned on building a company that is here for the long haul.
So awesome.
And we're not really that interested in getting acquired.
How
I wouldn't say never, because that would be dumb.
Well, no, listen, I had a client back on the East Coast that the CTO, the co-founder and CTO, had said to me one day, when I asked him about this, he said, the reality is when you're the leader in the market, it's typical to IPO, which they were. And then they sold to VMware for somewhere north of $500 million. And I was like, what was that all about? And he had a really good answer for it. But Listen, people have to, it made sense for them. Right.
Yeah.
So,
And
like you said, you can never say never, and it needs to make sense, whatever that is.
that's right. But at the same time, I mean, we're really trying to build something. We're trying to build something in Denver.
Yeah.
I think Denver companies tend to get acquired and not go public, tech companies.
I did not know that.
And so, Ping Identity went public 2 years ago, maybe. And that's one of the few. There just haven't been that many tech companies in the Denver metro area that go public. And so I'd like to see more.
Yeah, well, and you're preaching to the choir. I'd like to see that as well. So you've talked a little bit about how great your company culture is and how wonderful you are at getting and attracting and retaining the right people. What makes your company culture unique? Would you say you have a culture of feedback? And what percentage of turnover have you had? Low. I'm expecting it to be fairly low.
Yeah, the last question I can tell you is exceedingly low. I don't have the exact numbers, but certainly we can get those to you if you'd like. In terms of what makes us successful, creating a really good culture. It starts obviously at the top, right? It's just wanting to build a company that is values-based, has a good mission, vision, but then it's all about the people you hire.
Of course.
You've got to hire the people that can further that mission and match up with your values. I don't like the term match your culture, or I want people that can enhance the culture, right? Not that they just fit the culture, because if they fit the culture, well, then you're not growing. Right? It's enhance our culture. And if you also have, you have two white founders, male founders, fitting our culture, well, we're going to hire a bunch of white guys. And that is definitely not what we want.
Right.
And so we have fostered a very diverse culture, gender, racial, sexual orientation from the beginning. We have a long way to go. And we're still doing hard work there. But Pi looks very different from traditional tech companies, and it looks radically different from a typical insurance company.
Well, yeah. What percentage of women are employed by you? How many total employees right now, and what percentage are women?
We have about 280 employees. Again, I don't have the exact number.
Yeah, just a guesstimate if you can.
Gender, but it's in the 40% range.
Well, that's it's not bad considering you're not.
That's what I mean. We have work to do.
Yes.
Because it doesn't match the population, but we're on the right track. And we have a lot of female software engineers, which is
fantastic,
phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And so, like everybody knows, if you don't have female representation, you're not going to hire females.
Right.
Right. Especially at our size. So we've tried to foster that early.
So where do you see yourself, again, about $300 million in funding so far? Where has most of that money been invested, and where do you, see yourself investing, here over the next year?
So a lot of that has been invested in technology, but also just building the business,
right?
Building the people team, building the customer success team, building our sales force, our underwriting team. But a lot of it has gone into building out technology, our analytics. We have a very large technology team and analytics teams that really suck up most of those resources.
Yeah. Would you say that because I do so much work with startups, and the common denominator is, when you go to a startup, especially if it's seed or an A round, you're not making as much money as you were in the past, right? So you certainly got to really tell a great story of why somebody wants to come to work for your company. Are you getting to, or have you gotten to the point where you're paying people commensurate with their experience? or are you still catching up to that?
So we have really well-defined comp philosophies.
Mm-hmm.
They started from the beginning of the company.
Okay.
We pay market rates.
From the beginning?
From the beginning.
Wow. That's
and
terrific.
That's market compensation for where we are in our stage.
Okay.
So a Series A company with X number of millions of dollars in revenue, this much investment, their option impact is a phenomenal tool that we use that can give us all the salary levels in these various stages of the company. And so twice a year, we do comp surveys.
Good.
And we adjust comp proactively to match what market is. And we're now in a place, because we're hiring such amazing people and we have just a lot of, we've got a lot of money.
Yes.
To be blunt, we have really upped our game as well so that we can compete with coastal operations and can attract people from both coasts.
Well, in Colorado ain't getting any cheaper.
That's right. But
it
is still less expensive than San Francisco or New York.
Well, it is, but yeah, I mean, I just heard on the radio this morning that the median price now, I think they said in Denver, the median price is now $550. And that's up from something like I think they said maybe $470 or something last year. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. Right? It's not easy for people to afford to live here anymore.
That's right.
What's your day look like on a day-to-day basis as a leader? What do you spend your time doing?
And I spend my time on Zoom meetings. But in terms of what I do all day.
Yeah.
So most of my work is related to sales and business development, growing the business on the revenue side. That's a big part of my typical day. Okay. I also lead the technology team, so ensuring that we're building the technology that we want for the future, and then underwriting and analytics as well. And that's the risk side of the business, making sure that we price amazingly well, so that our customers get the best price, yet we protect our balance sheet. Those are the areas I focus on in terms of functional areas. But I've spent a lot of time on strategy of the business and how it all fits together into a puzzle that we can execute on.
And what would you say are your biggest opportunities and threats in your space?
Boy, the opportunity is the one we're pursuing, which is the small business.
Sure.
Working with small businesses. It's a huge opportunity. We already are almost in every state, so we've got a few more states to go.
Awesome.
We see an opportunity to expand beyond workers' compensation.
Okay.
To expand to other areas of small business insurance, liability, automotive, those kinds of areas where cyber, we think those are in our future. And those are significant opportunities as well.
I'm sure.
We see big opportunity in payroll, working with payroll companies. They're phenomenal distributors of work comp, and it goes kind of hand in glove. So we're very excited about that.
Good.
In terms of threats, certainly traditional insurance companies are a threat. The incumbents, many of them, as you said, have a lot of money and could give what we do away, and that would be a threat. Yeah. I can't imagine they would do that because the regulators wouldn't like it, but that would be a threat. Hiring amazing people is an opportunity and a threat.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity because we want to hire amazing people and they get amazing work done. The threat is we can't find enough of them.
Yeah.
And or people recruit our team, pay them gobs and gobs of money to leave and try and recreate pie.
Mm-hmm.
We've been super fortunate that hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's certainly a threat that we watch out for.
Do you require your employees to sign NDAs or any kind of thing like that, so to keep them, your non-competes?
We do. It's standard venture-backed company. We require them to sign contracts that protect our intellectual property, for sure.
And one of my last questions: what would you say has been, or at least has been, or currently is your biggest challenge right now? Is it finding those great people, enough of them, or is it something else?
No, we have actually had amazing success. Our recruiting team is doing just phenomenal work.
Awesome.
And so that piece, I would have said a year ago, was our biggest threat, our biggest challenge. But today, I mean, it's going to sound strange, but we are growing so fast that it is very hard for us to keep up from a technology standpoint. The top line is almost unbridled. Like, we can grow it even faster than we are.
Yeah.
So we're having a hard time keeping up with all the technology needs that we have to make the business really efficient. Yeah. That's our biggest challenge right now.
And do you find that, have you noticed a shift in the culture since you started the company at all? That is one of the biggest challenges as startups grow, maintaining that culture.
Yeah. I would say our team has honestly done a really good job of keeping the culture. It's different now, though, right? It used to be we'd sit around the table and we'd all make decisions because that was it. We sat around the table and made decisions. Now it's distributed, right? So we have to learn how to have a different communication style, a different medium of communication, how we disseminate information from John and I. John and I can't even come close to making all the decisions in the business. Right. And so we have to hire people we trust. And we have to make that transition. And that's true for John and I. It's true for the entire company. Yeah. What that creates, though, and this is what I tell new people, they're like, well, you don't have a career path. It's like, well, of course we don't. We're a new company. We don't have that kind of career pathing stuff, although we're getting it. But know that Pi is growing so fast. We need managers. We need leaders. We need people over here. We need people in places we haven't even thought of yet. And so your opportunities are going to be tremendous when you come here, even though it's not a direct linear path to some director's job or VP job. And so our people move all over the company because of that. So it's really fantastic. Cross-pollinating everywhere.
Yeah. So if somebody listening to this podcast wants to take the next step with you and is thinking, gosh, this sounds like the kind of company I'd like to go work for, what should they do?
Well, first of all, thank you. That would be amazing. Come to our website, piinsurance.com or easyaspi.com. We have both. And we have a ton of job openings and apply.
Awesome. And finally, I had meant to ask you this a little bit earlier. How are you finding your customers? Are you doing it through social media? Are you, cold calling? What's going on there?
So we're omni-channel. So we're going to meet the customer wherever they are. Okay. Sometimes that's going to be a business owner that doesn't have a staff. And that person is going to be shopping for insurance late at night in their spare time. So we want to be there for that person. They can come to our website and buy insurance. But we also want to work with that small business owner that already has an agent or a broker that they're comfortable with. They like the trusted advisor. Buy through them or their payroll company where they're already getting their payroll services and they can. So we don't really care. For us, everybody gets the exact same price. Right? So it's super fair. We want the customer to decide where it makes sense for them to buy.
Yeah, that's really fantastic, Dax, because certainly there are other companies that you and I both know in this industry that you cannot get a human being on the phone.
That's right.
That are valued very, very high. And
all you have to do is go out to our Trustpilot reviews and see.
Yeah, that's right.
That is not true of pie, right?
Right. And that's why I asked the question. Because me personally, for some stuff, I'm happy to just go online and buy it.
Yeah.
But for the more important things, when I want somebody to be consultative in nature, I want to talk to a human being.
Talk to a human being, whether that's somebody at pie or somebody that's a third party you trust that can give you the information you need. Absolutely.
Gosh.
And you shouldn't pay more for that. That's not
right. And that's exactly my point, because I had just done that with my truck. I insured it through this little Insurtech, all online. And of course, my insurance is considerably less than when I was with one of the major carriers. But I don't think it would be that way if I had to talk to a human being, because then they have to pay more people.
Exactly.
That's exactly.
So there's a balance, right?
There's got to be a way to figure that out, so that somebody who talks to a human being should not have to pay more money.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Our systems need to be good enough where that doesn't matter.
Right.
However you need information, you're going to get it.
Yeah, that's really great. Well, gosh, Dax Craig, co-founder and president of Pie Insurance here, headquartered in Denver. Thank you so much for joining me today. I just, am really anxious to get this podcast published, because I think it's going to be of really great value to a lot of entrepreneurs.
Well, I really appreciate getting invited on the show and talking to you, and look forward to listening.
Wonderful. Thanks, Dax.
All right, thanks, Carol.
Thank you for listening to Authentically Successful. If you are a successful founder or CEO who would like to be on this program, please visit verticalelevation.com/podcast/apply. If you learned something from this interview and it made a difference, please share it on LinkedIn or Twitter. You can also do a quick screenshot with your phone and text it to a friend. And if you know of someone who would be a great guest, tag them on LinkedIn or Twitter to let them know about the show, and include the hashtag Authentically Successful. I love seeing your posts and great suggestions. Lastly, we are regularly putting out new episodes and content. And to make sure you don't miss any episodes, please subscribe. Your thumbs up, ratings, and reviews go a long way to help promote the show and mean a lot to me and my team. If you want to know more, go to our website, verticalelevation.com, or follow me on LinkedIn. This is Carol Schultz. Thanks again for listening, and see you next time.